Uh, Tonight is well, it's at least it's not raining. That's a good thing, but it has begun to get a lot more muggy even in the evening. The Despite the heat, there's still moisture in the air. Stefan, although he slept well during the day, he still has the memories of those visions that haunt him whenever he falls asleep. Only they're peppered with other things. It's not just the alleyway, dark wings, the eyes. He can never quite approach them in his dreams. He also sees visions, not quite sure what to make of them, not quite sure if they're reality. They're probably just something his subconscious made up. But visions that involve Mortimer, a man he had only seen and met once. Zack, far too magnanimous even for a Ventrue. And too many others to count. Too many people. But despite this, he shakes it off. His routine, he's managed to get the night off, making a deal with the other bartender, who was available and all too happy to grab some extra hours, under the condition that Stefan covers for him for a couple nights. He sits in the cab heading to the historical district, New Sarum, and about this time the cab pulls up in front of beautiful church of Saint Christina's, a place he has not been for some time. To be honest, he rather misses the place. Pays the cab driver, gets out, walks through the gates. Kind of takes a moment. Apparently, the wrought iron gate has finally been replaced after Gideon decided to relieve some stress with it. Walks through up to the doors of the church and gently but loudly knocks on the door.
The church, being what it is unlocked, though no one really answers it. So you're free to enter.
A few moments later, nothing but silence. Stefan opens the door, heads in, closing it behind him quickly, and walks down the aisle between the two rows of pews.
The pews are empty right as now, though. You do hear a bit of shuffling in one of the side prayer areas, room areas. You hear what sounds like a clack of footsteps on the marble floors again, but you don't see anybody.
Hello? Is anybody in here?
Who's that?
Stefan.
Who's Stefan?
Stefan Braunfiedler.
As you hear someone say that, you see a woman, a rather striking looking woman with dark bobbed hair, kind of walk out. She's dressed really nicely, In fact, if you didn't know any better, you would say she kind of stepped out of the Roaring Twenties herself, though she looks modern enough. She just kind of, again, kind of walks into the pew area where you are, and she'll just kind of tilt her head and go, I don't know you.
This is the first time I have seen you here as well. To be
You're not.
honest,
How long have you been here?
well, I just walked into the church. I have been in the city for about 10 years.
10 years, and I've never seen you before?
There, well, I did not always come around the church. Other places around the city, yes, but it has only been in the last 5 months that I have really been connecting with the clan here in the city.
You say the word clan and her eyes narrow just a little bit more. She kind of
Oh,
looks at you.
damn. I mean, family. Yeah, I.
What's your aura looking like right now?
Um. He's in a pleasant mood. Serious, purpose-driven. As far as mood, it tends to be fluctuating, as is appropriate for a manic depressive. He's not quite sure whether he should be up or down.
Yeah, she just kind of narrows at you, and then she just shakes her head, and she's just like, young man, that is a very novice mistake to make.
I have not made quite a grievous mistake like that in quite a while. I'm usually much better.
See. So your name is Stefan.
Yeah.
Right. And in that moment, you actually hear another sound of footsteps coming kind of from the back of the church. It's a very familiar sound of high heels clacking on the marble floor. And then, as the person exits, you see Teresa kind of enter. And she kind of just stops. She go, "Oh, Stefan, what are you doing here today, young man?"
Miss Goodchild, I wasn't sure if I would run into you or Celine, or it could have been Gideon here tonight. I have a bit of business, and it's not necessarily pleasant. I mean, for all I know, it could just be that I need some guidance in a particular matter.
Business, huh? What sort of business? And as you can see, she seems incredibly comfortable by this lady you've never seen before. What business is this? As she kind of approaches you, as she tries to come and speak with you. But again, she makes no effort to be cautious or anything around this woman.
Looking over at Claire for a moment, is it okay to talk around this other woman?
The dark-haired woman eyebrows is kind of like raised. If you didn't know any better, just like kind of like just lift right off her forehead. Teresa kind of goes, "Of course, if you can say it to me, you can say it to my grandson. This is Miss Claire."
Please forgive me, Claire. And Stefan just bows very deeply. It is good to see one that is so wise.
Now, What is this business?
Well, I had an interesting little chat just a few nights ago. The Emerald Scorpion with a Mr. Voltaire.
Yes, Zachary. Quite an interesting young man, isn't he? Oh boy. What did he do now, Mr. Zachary? Did he get in a fight with another Brujah again?
No, thankfully. Though I am not entirely comfortable after this discussion. He was truthful enough, but he seemed to be rather more dodgy than I would expect.
Dodgy, how do you mean? He's lying? That is par for the
Not
course for our kind, you know.
not lying, not lying. I'm very much aware that we manipulate and we deceive quite often. No, 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 no. Not lying. More like running around the block with certain issues. I don't know whether or not he did not understand what I was suggesting or saying. I was polite enough, as is custom when you deal with Ventrue. Shows him respect, and maybe they will do the same in kind.
Right.
But he kind of drug out a few points. He even at one point sounded like he was accusing me of making an accusation against him, one-sided as it is, which I did not. But according to what I have gathered from multiple sides in this ridiculous story, there have been issues in the city between Brujah and Ventrue.
And the ocean is wet. Go on.
This is nothing new with me. I tread carefully, usually around both, but it seems as though this issue with Mr. Voltaire and Mr. Wilford is. I don't think it could necessarily end well if either one of these other neonates handle things in their own way, and I don't believe that if they do so, it is going to. How do you say it? Keep those on the upper rungs out of the problems.
I don't think I follow. You believe that this feud between this Mortimer Brujah idiot and this Zachary Ventrue idiot is going to cause problems for us?
I cannot be entirely sure, but I suspect that if it began in violence, it will probably end in violence, one way or another. And I do not entirely also believe that Mr. Voltaire is as innocent as he makes himself out to be. I asked him a very important question. He, of course, made like he misunderstood, or like I was saying, he could not do business with a Brujah just because of a particular weakness. I told him that was ridiculous. But I asked him, you knew who you were doing business with. You knew the repercussions of your actions if something were to go wrong. He agreed. And then I said, well, okay, I don't believe that a businessman, even one with passionate Brujah blood, would just fly off the handle randomly just because he was having problems with a mortal brother and try to kill him, and then a business partner that, well, verbal as it was, a few words and a handshake, and they call that a contract amongst the Ventrue. No wonder they fail.
Right. Well, I wouldn't underestimate the beast in anyone, especially in the Brujah, but I do see your skepticism and understand it. And of course, Mr. Voltaire is probably spinning it the way he wants the Ventrue are good with that. Unfortunately, this Mr. Mortimer and Clan Brujah as a whole has not come out to deny his accusations, at least not to me. And as you recall, my opinion does matter. So, kind of puts me in an interesting position. I suppose I could give the benefit of a doubt to Mortimer, this man I've never met, never bothered to meet me, clear some name, or, to be honest, any leader of the city. And of course, Voltaire is probably up to no good. That's what the Ventrue do.
The least respectable ones, anyway.
Hmm.
The older they get, they do tend to get more schemy, of course. I am not ignorant of some of these stories, rumors, things that my sire taught me that were important to the political schemes. But I believe that what caused the issue, this is just a hypothesis, is that Mr. Voltaire attempted to probably acquiesce the business from Mortimer by cutting him out. Mortimer figured this out. Again, hypothetically speaking. Then he figured this out. He did not take it well. And when the Brujah don't take it well, you know what happens. I'm not even going to go into it. And with the issues that Mortimer was having with his mortal kin, his brother, it was two things on top of each other, and the dominoes fall. Now, I did not tell Zachary this. A little detail that I kept hidden. What I did say is that perhaps there's a chance for them to sit down with a third mediating party, a neutral party, one that is not vested interest in either side, to settle it like gentlemen. The last thing I want to see is an execution, because it would have to be two kindred, not one. Mortimer may have frenzied and damn near killed Zachary, but this happened in public. There were paramedics involved, and that means that Zachary was taken to a hospital. Now, there wasn't anything more than a side note that I seen in the papers, not even on the front page. Side notes on the radio news. And I haven't heard anything about it since. Nothing odd. Which means the Ventrue probably have stakes in medicine.
It's entirely possible, and quite more likely is they hushed it up, which is probably best for us all. But now, what are you saying? You want someone to mediate between these two neonates to get over their petty squabbles over mortal businesses?
Yes. I suggested that in order to understand this, Zachary has to understand that he is just as guilty for a breach of the masquerade as Mortimer would be. If not for Zachary's actions, Mortimer probably wouldn't have frenzied. So, in the interest of clean cameral politics and a smooth running city which any prince and any council of Primogen and any others of station would appreciate. Let's keep this as unmarred as possible. Not to mention, if either one or the other, not particularly both, is killed, then the other side whose member got away without an execution will be happy, but the one who lost a member of their broods are not going to take it well.
I suppose not, but honestly, I suppose it'd be bad, but at the same time, I want to just let them go at their throats would benefit us. Unless Brujah and Ventrue to deal with. But that's just the cold-hearted side of me.
Well,
I do apologize.
no, do not apologize for, how can you say it, things that are not character flaws. We all have parts of our personalities that others don't necessarily like. And I am not necessarily trusted fully amongst the Brujah, but I have some dealings with some here and there, and it is good.
You can see Teresa, just kind of thinking about what you said, but you'll notice Claire is kind of wandering, completely disinterested in this conversation. She's not even paying attention.
Oh, children.
Pretty much. This is petty neonate crap.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Well, Stefan, I don't know who you want to mediate this, but if this is a task you would like to bring onto yourself, you're welcome to do so. I'm not going to stop you. Perhaps you may want to mention this to the Primogen. She might be interested. I don't know. Which, by and by, she has called a gather tomorrow midnight.
I was going to bring it. Well, the very next time I heard of something like this, so it is good that I am hearing this now. I can be prepared tomorrow night. I would bring it up with her, but I have to make sure that I don't mention it among others. Some may not take it as well.
Some as in who?
Just because we have clan ties doesn't mean that we all necessarily agree. And there's at least one who I usually try to keep my distance for the best. He's there's eccentric and then there's ridiculous, and I don't subscribe to his notion that this condition is a disease that he can cure.
Are we talking about Howard?
Not in a bad way. I'm not going to slander the man I respect. What drives him night to night, but...
Indeed, whatever wakes him up in the evening. Well, I don't know exactly. Like I said, part of me just wants them to go ahead and squabble, keeps them distracted.
I was thinking of possible people who would be who could play the neutral part. Celine came to mind first, but she is the Primogen and she has a lot of business.
Oh, this is far beneath our Primogen indeed.
But for somebody whose opinion matters, just imagine being able to quash this. Imagine how impressed the higher-ups that you have not met would be this year. and me for bringing this to you and for laying it out like a neat red carpet before the opening night of the opera.
Perhaps. Again, I'll have to think about it.
That is the same thing that Zachary is doing as well, and I need to meet with Mortimer. I need to find out where he is, and hopefully I will be able to find him. No doubt it will be a secret meeting if he is probably still being pursued by police.
Probably it might be time for Mortimer the Mortal to die. In fact, I recommend it.
I believe that is the best course of action.
Anyway, is there anything else, Stefan?
Well, I'm going to have to find a neutral ground for this. Any recommendations?
Well, I suppose public, the Emerald Scroll brand is as neutral as gonna get as it is the rack of the city. But if you must, I do dabble in real estate. I'm sure I can find some sort of kitchen or dining room you guys can talk it out of.
That is right.
Wouldn't be so. What's the word? I wouldn't be so daring as to invite them here, not without Celine's permission.
No, absolutely not. After the last events that got Gideon riled up, I do not fish for anything save for clan business to be held in this church in the interest of the primogen. And I also do not wish to cause her any discomfort because Lothario had to deal with something. I have seen that discomfort firsthand, and I believe it's best to keep things as calm as possible around this area. But you deal in real estate, do you?
A bit, yes.
Tell me, there is a theater in the downtown district. It's across the street from the homeless shelter there. It's been run down for some time. I actually was shown it by a Nosferatu contact. Being where it is, not many people pay attention to it, but it's quite a remarkable building even in its current state. You wouldn't know by chance if it is on the market and what real estate company or what individual may own it, do you?
Not off the top of my head. But I am in a good mood tonight, so I suppose I could ask.
Indeed. And for that favor, do you wish anything in return?
Maybe a minor one in return. It's not too inconvenient for me.
Well, he reaches into his left breast pocket instead of his jacket, writes down name and number. You can contact me at this number at your earliest convenience or leisure. And I will see what I can do to try to bring this meeting to greater reality. Hopefully, both of them can get over themselves and come to an agreement.
Oh, yes, hopefully.
If not, I believe that in the interest of security, we should definitely have either the sheriff, or, well, the sheriff or a hound or two, however many of those there are, or maybe even a little of both, to provide security just in case things cannot be settled peaceably.
Hmm. We'll see. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Just a precaution. I sometimes I think ahead. It's I've had so many things going on recently, so many things that have agitated my mind. But that is of my concern and not yours.
Quiet.
I do thank you for giving me your valuable time, Teresa. And I will I will continue to go about this. I should probably go out and try to feed. It's about time.
Hmm. Have fun with that, dear.
You have a wonderful evening, Miss Goodchild.
I'm sure I will. Good night.
Stefan turns and heads out the door, closing it behind him.
No one stops you from leaving, and as you leave, you can hear Teresa turning to walk towards Claire, but you don't hear anything that they're saying.
Stefan heads out from the door, across the courtyard, back out through the gate, thinking about where to go. He's thinking maybe at this time that I revisited the eagle, it should be fine as the scene comes to a close.